Title: My wife laughed. You're selling your company? Good. Now you can finally afford the alimony. Start: I had just signed the papers. My company, 10 years of sweat, sacrifice, and every sleepless night I owned, was no longer mine. My wife sat across the table, a smug smile cutting her face in half. Good, she said, her voice laced with venom. Now you can finally afford the alimony. I didn't respond, not because I was weak, because silence is sharper than words. An hour later, her lawyer would call, screaming. But in that moment, I only looked at her, memorizing the way she gloated. It was the last time she would ever have the upper hand. There was a time when I loved her, more than anything. I built everything with her by my side, my company, my dreams, my future. She had been my anchor in the early years, when the business bled money and every day felt like war, or so I thought. I remember our late nights in the cramped apartment, her sketching plans for the house we swore we'd buy one day. Her laughter was genuine then, or maybe I was just too blind to see through it. Looking back now, the signs were there. The way she never asked about my stress anymore, the way she dressed sharper when she went out with friends, the phone that never left her side. Love makes you stupid. Trust makes you weaker. I found out on a Tuesday, not by accident, by instinct. I'd felt the distance, the lies. So I pulled a thread. Her phone was locked, of course, but the iPad she forgot at the house wasn't. One cloud account synced across both. There it was, messages, photos, her voice notes whispering into another man's ear, mocking me. My wife, my partner, the woman who told me she'd never hurt me. The man? My business partner, the one I trusted with contracts, meetings, and even my failures. They weren't just sleeping together, they were plotting. They wanted my company gutted, my pockets emptied, my life dismantled. She'd get the divorce, the alimony, the house. He'd take the company after she forced my hand to sell. They had it all figured out. I didn't rage. I didn't confront her. I sat in silence that night, watching her sleep next to me, her hand resting on my chest as if nothing was broken. That was the night I decided, if she wanted a war, she'd get one. Revenge isn't loud, it's patient, precise. First, I secured the evidence. Every message, every photo, every detail, copied, encrypted, sent to a lawyer I trusted like blood. Second, I moved quietly. I didn't fight the divorce. I didn't argue about the company. I let her think she was winning. The more she believed, the sharper the fall would be. Third, I set the trap. My buyer for the company wasn't real. He was a shell, a holding company owned by a trust, my trust, buried so deep under legal structures that even a seasoned lawyer couldn't untangle it. When I signed those papers, I wasn't selling my company. I was moving it, away from her, away from him, into a vault only I could unlock. The moment she laughed at me, I knew it was time.
She thought she had forced me into selling, thought the alimony checks would flow endlessly, thought she and my partner would finally drink champagne over my grave. An hour later, her lawyer called. I wasn't in the room, but I can imagine it. The panic, the raised voice, the realization. Because when they pulled the contracts, they saw the truth. The company hadn't been sold for cash. It had been restructured, transferred, immune to marital claims. She had no claim, no ownership, no leverage. All she had was a lawyer screaming in her ear about how badly she'd been outplayed. And I had already walked out of the courthouse, free. She stormed into my office. Well, what used to be my office. Her face red, shaking, her voice trembling between rage and fear. "You think this is over?" she spat. "It is," I told her, calm, even. "You wanted my company, my money, my life. You get nothing, except the alimony I decide you deserve, and it won't be much." Her mouth opened, but no words came, because she knew I was right. As for my partner, the man I once called brother, he found himself cut out overnight. The trust had no place for him. Investors saw the evidence I'd gathered of his collusion. He wasn't just fired, he was blacklisted. 2 people, 2 betrayals, 1 move. That night, I sat alone in the house. The same house we dreamed of owning back when we were kids with nothing but hope. Now it was mine. Only mine. I poured myself a drink. The silence was heavy, but not empty. For the first time in years, it felt like peace. She had mocked me, thinking I was weak, thinking she was clever. But she forgot. My silence was never surrender. It was strategy. I gave her rope. She tied her own noose. And when she laughed at me that day, I smiled inside. Because I already knew her laughter would be the last sound before the fall. Betrayal teaches you who you are. She thought she was smarter. He thought he was stronger. But they underestimated the one thing I never stopped being: patient. And patience, when sharpened by betrayal, becomes the deadliest weapon. I don't regret a thing. I only regret trusting them in the first place.